it's really beneficial too in a way to be, and I've learned this a lot, just, being editor-in-chief for like 2 months, you know? But I was on the paper for 3 semesters, took a semester off last semester, which was tough, coming back now because a lot of the stuff have changed, and I'm dealing with all these new people that I haven't met before or known that well. Some of them are nice, but there's some that, you get people on staff that just like have way different views than you as editor, and they'll love to just butt heads with you all day on things, even if they brought it up. Like, it's not something that even has to do with the paper, but it's very beneficial because you deal with some difficult people. You deal with some very opinionated people. You deal with some very, maybe like shy people, like you're trying to break. And let me tell you, don't be shy in journalism. It's tough. And I used to be really shy when I first started, but now not so much. But you just learn how to deal with people, and that's what life is. As you get older and as you leave here, you're gonna have to deal with people. And I've heard stories from people, like Joey, that have moved on, that they've dealt with difficult people, and that's just something you have to deal with. But you have to realize that even though Lauren and I were both news editors, just because you're the news editor doesn't mean you're the only person that like controls the news aspect. You still have to all work together. And there's a lot of times that people helped Lauren out a lot when she was news editor. There's a lot of times people helped me a lot with news. There's a lot of times I stepped in as just a staff writer or a news editor to help another section out. So even though you are, just your little editor or just your section, you're still a part of like the paper. So you have to learn to work with everyone in the paper. And think about it, there's like, right now I think you have like 16 editors or something. When you actually like narrow it down to like all the little, like you break it down from like a news editor to their like associate to like the copy and all these other editors. Not all of those people are the same, and they're not all gonna have like the different views, like the same views as you. So you just have to learn to deal. I've had people tell me, oh, if I didn't meet you in journalism, I probably wouldn't like you or something like that. And that's kind of sad to hear. They're like, oh, in high school, we would have never gotten along. But then you grow up, and you meet people that you meet in college, and you're like, I don't know how, like, I didn't know I would meet someone that is like that. And then you learn to deal with them. So it's actually very beneficial because it helps you deal with people outside of, college and when you go, like, in a job and stuff like that.
The themes of the movie was that the reporters were having problem getting access to various groups like the administration office or the athletic people and even some of the various groups on campus. Did you experience that when you were editors?
Oh my God, yes.
Sports is the hardest sometimes. If you try to, sports teams are the hardest because, and we get it though. If they lose a big game, they don't want to talk about it. They're like, no, we lost. Why do you guys want to hear about it? But we have to still cover the game as is. We don't know that you guys not lost, but we don't know that you guys are going to lose when we came here to report this game. And so for me, like, it's always been, and Lauren was sports editor, so she dealt with it way worse than I did because I was never a sports editor. And I don't like sports, but I had times when I would go cover it, and sometimes people are just like, I don't want to talk to you. I lost, especially if they lose a championship game, or if they lose, like, the football homecoming game, or if they lose a big playoff game or something. They don't want to talk about it. And then if you get the score wrong, or if you get a name wrong, or if you don't cover them, think about how many sports there are. There's baseball, basketball. Right now there's like swimming, there's track, there's all these other ones. We have just this limited space on the paper. We can't fit every sports team on that page unless you want like this little box of like 3 words or something, or 3 sentences. So when one sports team sees that they weren't covered, but this other team had a big picture, they get mad and they're like, no, we don't want to talk. Like, it's hard. Sports is probably one of the hardest ones I've had to deal with. Well, maybe not necessarily the hardest, but like it's always like there. Like, it happens every semester. You have to deal with sports.
Oh yeah. Like baseball never wanted to talk to us because when I was sports editor, they were on a losing streak and they were just terrible. The coach said that they were the worst team that Cerritos has had in years. So to have to talk to them, they were so angry. They didn't want to talk to anybody. So, but like we've said before, it's all about building relationships. If you start talking to certain people, like the starting quarterback or I don't know, whoever is a main person that's going to be involved in your stories a lot, those are the people you want to talk to the most. The one group of people that is probably the hardest to talk to is campus police, because we have screwed them over so many times in previous semesters and we've said things that they didn't like, and they got so upset with us that you have to go talk to the chief before, and you can't talk to anybody, and unless he gives you the okay. But you can't talk to anybody other than the chief. And sometimes he's not here. He'll be on vacation, and you have to talk to whoever's second in command, the captain. And then sometimes he's not there, so then it's like, so what do you do? If there's a breaking news story that somebody, broke into the gymnasium or something, and they heard gunshots, and you're trying to go cover that, and you can't get a hold of either, then it's really difficult. And we come into a lot of problems with campus police where we can't get a hold of them, or they don't want to talk to us about certain things, or they only share certain things with us. But we've had people that were like, oh, can you go out, and it's the same person going to them. They build a relationship, and then we get more information. So it's all about building relationships with the people that are going to give you the story. And we've talked about it on staff, and sometimes it's the secretaries that are on campus that know all the gossip, because they're in all the meetings and everything. And sometimes, like the president of the college won't tell you something, but the secretary knows everything. And if you befriend the secretary, she'll be like, oh, hey, so this is going on, and you end up getting a story. So it's beneficial to try to just be buddy with certain people, because sometimes those are your best sources.
I think one thing that people don't realize, which is pretty sad, because it's a huge campus, and like it was mentioned, administrators and instructors are here a lot longer than the students are. But what people don't realize is that if you assign, say a beat to a certain writer, that writer is not necessarily going to be here next semester. So the person who they were talking to, say if it's, I don't know, a certain secretary or the president or whoever, they don't understand, oh, so I'm not talking to that person anymore, so now I have to talk to you, you're a new person, I have to trust you now. What kind of a writer are you? What have you written? Have you burned anyone that I know? Do I not like a story that you've written? So that shift is really, and the learning curve that comes along with it. This new writer has to learn how to use certain terminology to not necessarily burn that relationship that was already built. That is always a huge concern, and it's something that has to be dealt with each semester, but there isn't a lot of tolerance for it, and there isn't a lot of patience for it from administration and from people who have been here a lot longer. They see, student reporters as these kids who come along and, are kind of like playing dress up, like they're acting like they're these reporters, but they don't necessarily know what they're writing, and that was always something that I had to deal with. Some people in administration kind of treated me like, oh, that's cute. Like, you're going to write a story on this. Oh, that's adorable. Let me just give you this quick little smiley face quote, and hopefully that's what you'll publish. And so they don't expect you to ask hard questions. And when you do, and you kind of catch them in a lie, or they get uncomfortable, then that's when they're like, oh, I can't trust this person, and I can't talk to this person again.
Because Lauren started a semester before me, and we our paths kind of changed when she was sports or something like that. And I've even had it where I go to talk to people and they're like, oh, where's Lauren? And I'm like, she's not here right now. Or, oh, I've even had people tell me they remember Joey or something like that. And it's like, they're good reporters, but they're not here. It's me now, it's my turn. And I also had people tell me, because I took a semester off, and I would see people throughout campus, and they're like, oh, you're not doing it anymore? I had this other person come up to me, and I'm like, oh, yeah, they're new. I'll be back, hopefully, because I didn't know if I was going to make editor-in-chief or not. And then I come back, and they're like, oh, I'm glad to see you. And then it sucks because, now they're so glad to see me, and they're going to talk to me, and then I'm not going to be there next semester, and they're going to have to deal with all the new people again. So you definitely get those relationships, and then it's hard. People don't they don't realize how long you're there, and they get used to, you know, like I said, seeing Lauren or seeing the editor-in-chiefs before me, and so they don't want to talk to you. But I think one relationship or one like group you said that like it's hard to get with. It wasn't necessarily a group. There are certain people, like just individually, the people themselves are really hard to talk to. And it's interesting because there's a faculty member on campus that just would not talk to us. Like she just wouldn't. Can I just say her name? No. She just wouldn't talk to us. No, she's not hearing you. She
Oh, I know
just
who you're talking about.
yeah. She wouldn't talk to us. And, okay, you guys can find it out because it's in the paper. But oh, there's the plug. Read the newspaper. She would, yeah. Basically, she wouldn't talk to us. She worked in health services. She worked with see how much she would talk to us. Oh, she was just a hard. Like, we had her get on the interview, like on interviews, very rarely, and then she resigns. Imagine trying to cover a story about a faculty member who resigns that won't talk to you.
I had a stalker one time.
Twice. No, we had two resignations this semester, and both of the people who resigned refused to talk to us. How that is so difficult to handle. Like it just ask them and they're like no. One we asked but said no. The other one we just couldn't get a hold of, and that's what sucks is when it's like one specific person and it's like you write this whole story and the only thing that would make it just perfect, or the one thing that would just clarify this huge quote is that one person that won't talk to you. And you can't even pinpoint the editor that burned that bridge or something like that, because it might not even be a one editor's fault. And it's just it's tough. But now I guess they resigned, we don't have to deal with them anymore. But it was hard, those two stories.
Okay, when you're old and gray,
Oh God.
I don't know. Dude,
I'm gonna
look
be
at this.
brown
Already great.
for the rest of my life.
when you're old and gray, what will be the most enduring memory of your time as editor?
The last page I designed. When and Talon Talks, because those two were my things that I started when I was on stuff. Yeah, those are my little babies. Because the end of the semester, last semester, I did a giant double trek of the hill outside where the music department is, and I did sort of like an interactive with QR codes linking to interviews with individual people that are usually over there, and it was something different that I wanted to try, and I didn't think I was going to get it done, and I luckily was able to get it done the night of print production, but I got it done, and I was really proud of myself because I was like, this is what I wanted to do, and I was able to get it done, and I really liked the way it came out. That, and like I said, Talon Talks, which is, if you guys read the paper, they started it again, so you guys should do that. Look at the online site. It's just two editors talking about stuff that's going on that people can relate to. It's kind of like an opinion thing. Well, when I was co-hosting, it was more of an opinion thing. I don't know what you guys are doing with it now, but I was proud of it because I felt like it was something that was where just we could give our opinion on a topic, and people could comment and start giving in their opinions, and we could all it was just like a more relaxed version of the paper, of the opinion section, but it was just two people talking the whole time. So, and it was fun. So those are my two favorite things.
I think mine would have to be some people go through journalism and they know right away, this is what I want to do forever. And then there's some people who question it off and on. And I've been one of those people who have questioned it honestly off and on. I like it and I love the time I've had at Talon Marks. And it was about a year ago. That was the day I really, you're smiling because you know what I'm going to say, dang. Okay, so there was this day that I, the one day out of my whole time that I really felt like a journalist. You guys all remember in Boston, the marathon where they bombed it? Well, we had a faculty member here that was a part of it that ran in Boston, and she was about 100, 200 yards away from the explosion. And Alicia found out from another faculty member who I got a hold of, who gave me her number, and I talked to her when she was out in New York. and it was like a quick little phone interview. I got a bunch of information. I talked to people here that knew her. I got it online quick. I just, the whole day, that was it. That was like my whole focus the whole day, was this event, that this was happening. And I also had the opportunity to design the front page that had that story on it, that had that photo. I talked to her when she came back to school and stuff, and it was just like, you know, sometimes you cover stories and it's like, that's all you're gonna do, like this one little event. But I stayed with it like the whole day, and I heard a lot of feedback from the faculty members. I was told I gave someone a job, which I still can't handle, like that, like criticism, because one of the other teachers here, Walter Hammerald, who taught like news writing, he went for a job up at American River College, and he told them, if someone doesn't cover this story, don't give me the job. And I'm like, oh dang, thankfully I covered that story, because he told them not to give them the job if I didn't do it. But I can't handle that pressure of him saying, you got me a job. But minus like that little part, that was the one day I felt like I was like a real journalist, because I talked to someone that was like in New York that like went through this event, and it's very rare that you get those one-on-one talk to someone who experienced something so rare like that, you know, experienced something that you don't want to ever experience. But like her words about it were like crazy, and to write the story and to design the page and to hear the feedback. So that was probably like, out of everything I do, that'll probably be like the one that'll stand out and the one that, you know, they'll bring up. So that would be mine.
My most enduring, I think I have two, which I hopefully I have time to share. Okay, so the first one would be before I joined Talon Marks, which was, so the semester before I joined Talon Marks, I remember thinking, okay, I have to transfer soon and I have to have some extracurricular activities. So what the hell am I gonna do? So I was wandering around campus and I picked up a newspaper, and I remember reading the cut line, which is the caption underneath this picture, and it was maybe 15 words long, and every single word in that cut line was misspelled. And I thought, no, like I need to get involved in this somehow, because it's ridiculous to me. How is this possible that every single, I mean like and the were misspelled. So that to me was very enduring, because it's probably the most hopeful time that a reporter will have on Talon Marks, when you decide to join, when you decide to step outside of yourself and you think, or you know, I can make a difference. This is what I can offer Talon Marks. This is what I can offer my community. This is what I can offer the other students here on campus. This is what I can offer the other instructors. And I think my second most enduring memory was it was when I was editor-in-chief. I think I was editor-in-chief, or maybe I was managing. But I remember being in an ed board meeting, and I was sick. I had a cold, and I was thinking, okay, I have maybe 30 minutes left in me before I either pass out or puke or something happens. But so we were arguing about something, and I think I was managing editor. But so we were in ed board, and there's like commotion going on outside in the newsroom, and I'm like, I don't even care what's going on. Like, we just have to handle business in here, and that way I can go home. But I don't know if it was Joey. Someone came in and said, you won an award, and I was like, I don't know what the hell this, like, what does that even mean? Am I delusional right now because I have a fever of like 104 degrees, or I don't know what's going on. But it turned out that I had won a CCMA award, and that to me meant a lot, because by then I had been on staff for a while, and I had not gotten any JACC awards, and everyone around me had gotten something, like at least honorable mention or something, and I hadn't gotten anything. So I was really upset about that, but never kind of let it show. But so someone told me, you know, you won an award, and it's even bigger than a JACC award. So that to me was a really good moment.
One was like my first award. Like I'm assuming probably a couple of you, I didn't go to college right after high school. I took a couple years off and did all kinds of crazy stuff. So when I came back to school, it was a big decision for me, and a big decision in my life to kind of get my stuff in order. So when I came back in high school, I was the editor-chief of my newspaper in high school, and so it was a big gap between college and high school for me. So I came back and decided to be on the newspaper again and see where it can lead me. So I remember going to the JCC, which is a big convention that we all have, and we compete in contests and win awards and stuff. And I didn't win my first competition, In fact, I'm on my way to my second competition when they called me back and said, hey, actually, you have to come back and compete because you are in the finals. So, I mean, for me, it was kind of a big point of like kind of validation that what I'm doing now with my life was kind of was in a much better direction. That was one. I called my mom. I was back with a taxi cab and I called my mom. It was really cute. And then second would have to be the 3D issue that we put out. We're the first college paper, I think, in the world to ever release a 3D issue. And the really cool part about what I appreciate about it the most is that no one had any idea how to do this. I mean, it was an idea, we kind of like talked about it, and then everybody as a staff came together and we got all our newspapers and with duct tape, or not duct tape, but with Scotch tape, we attached 3D glasses to every single one of the 4,000 issues. I mean, it was everybody kind of working together for the first time I've ever saw a newspaper. And everyone was happy, everyone was just willing to kind of do extra work and come in early to kind of put a product out that everyone was proud of. That was it. And then the final one was when I got a job. I was still in school here when I got a job in a professional paper. And I remember a couple weeks leading up to when I got the job, I was like, how am I going to say goodbye to people? You know, I mean, it was really my life for like two years. I mean, I was on the newspaper. So I didn't want to ever say bye to people. So which was really cool. I got a job and I never came back to school. So I never had to say bye to anybody, which was kind of cool. I mean, of course I finished my classes and stuff, and I had to email all my professors saying, hey, can I finish this class like at home or something? But I developed so many relationships and so many friendships during that time, I guess, that it was kind of nice to not have that awkward moment when you have to say bye to somebody. So those are the three things that I'll remember the most, I think.